So, Yashovarman, welcome to our session, and I would like if you could introduce yourself to our students.
Uh, Hello everyone. So as ma'am said, I'm Yashovarman Dikshit and I did my BSc in Economics from NMIMS Mumbai. And after giving my GRE, I have applied to universities in the UK and the US for a master's in data science. And I'm currently awaiting the offer letters from those universities.
Okay, that's good to know, Yash. So, for the sake of this webinar, I hope Yash, you don't mind if I call you Yash instead of calling you
Yes,
Yashovarman.
ma'am.
I hope that's okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
sure.
So, Yash, can you tell us about your GRE journey? I mean, what really motivated you to do your GRE? Why did you choose a GRE and not a GMAT? Considering that you're from a non-engineering background, how come you chose the GRE? And if you can tell us about the GRE, your experience with the GRE.
All right. So after my undergrad, I realized I wanted to pursue my master's abroad. And since I wanted to do data science, which is a STEM course, I had to take up the GRE instead of the GMAT. Uh, so it was a fairly easy decision to choose the GRE and decide that I had to give it because most of the universities in the UK and the US, not really the UK, but the US do require a GRE score. And since my undergrad GPA wasn't that good, I had to make up for it somewhere. So the GRE was a good opportunity to do so.
Okay. And can you tell us a little bit about your GRE experience? Meaning, what did you find, that was good or bad about the test, specifically about the sections or maybe the scoring pattern, anything like that?
There's not bad as such because the test day experience was quite smooth for me. And since I had IMS and both of you to help me along the way, it was quite a pleasant experience for me. Uh, uh, I'd say for anyone giving the GRE, you shouldn't take too much tension about it. I mean, I know the verbal part is quite difficult, especially if your English isn't that strong. But I think enough practice will get you there in the end.
Okay. And can you also introduce the sections of GRE? What sections did you see when you actually wrote the test?
Okay, so there are 6 sections, out of which the first one is analytical writing. It is not part of the 340 score that you achieve, but most of the colleges and universities look at it as a measure of how well you write. And then we have 5 sections, out of which 2 are quant and 3 can be verbal, or 3 are quant and 2 can be verbal. Depending on it depends on the exam.
Okay, okay. And Yash, I wanted to ask you, did you prefer taking the test at home or at the center? Where did you actually write the test? Now, due to the pandemic, you had an option to write the test at home. So what did you do?
So initially, I was leaning towards writing the test at home because I thought it'd be a very relaxed environment. I'll be in my comfort zone, and I don't have to wear jeans and go to the test center and feel uncomfortable. But I think I made a good decision in taking the test at the center because uh, if it's at the center, you don't have to worry about a lot of things which you might have to worry about if it's at home, like like your Wi-Fi connection. If the computer stops working or the test stops working, I mean, the onus is on you to get it back. But over there, if something goes wrong, you're not. It's not on you.
Okay, and at the test center, since you went to the test center, did they provide you with any scratch paper or, what did they give you for your rough work and working?
So I had taken everything along with me. I had taken books and like empty books, obviously, and pens and pencils and everything. But unfortunately, you're not allowed to take anything else, anything inside the test center except your pen, and even water is not allowed. So, and they provide scratch paper, so there's plenty of it. So there's no problem with that.
Okay. I also wanted to know when you started coaching with IMS, what was the score that you were targeting? Like, did you have any score in mind that I should get a 320, I should get a 315, I should get a 330? Was there any target score that you had?
So since my GPA wasn't good, as I said, I had been told that to make up for it, kind of, I had to get around a 325. So that was always the score I wanted to achieve. Although I was like, when I started studying for it, I said, might as well aim for a 335 or something so that at least I'll get to a 325 even if I don't do that well. But I think I would have been happy with a score around 320. Uh, and after I gave the test, I would have been happy with a score of 315 because I had not expected the score to be that good just after the test got over.
Right. So what do you think, like in your knowledge and as per your application and your research on the GRE, what do you think is the ideal score a student should target? Like for the other aspirants or the other students who are listening to us today, what is the ideal score which you feel is good enough?
I think a 165 in quant and a 155 in verbal is good enough. So that makes a 320.
Okay, so
I
you're
mean, it's
saying,
not that difficult to get a 165 in quant. So anything below that is something that you should not aim for, basically.
all right, all right. So how long did you take to study? I mean, when did you join the course, and how many months did you really contribute as far as your study was concerned? Did you have any kind of study plan?
So I think our course started on the 10th of August with IMS, and I didn't choose the GRE date that time, but I think somewhere in September I decided to give the GRE end of November. So roughly I had 3 months, 3.5 months to study for it. And as for the course plan, I just decided that consistently doing and working towards both the subjects would be beneficial rather than studying a lot, maybe for a week and then taking a break for 5 days. And then like I'll suggest that don't study in breaks. You should study continuously if you plan to achieve a good score.
Okay, so Yash feels that we should study consistently. We need to have that consistency when we are studying. Otherwise, if we have those breaks in between, we may get distracted and we may not be able to, achieve that score which you're dreaming of. Right. And Yash, can you also tell us, how much time did you devote to your study every day? Because, like you said, it has to be consistent. So, per day, how much time is really required by any of our students?
So initially, since I had not decided the date, it was around 3 to 4 hours, including the IMS batch. But then once I had decided the date and the date kept coming closer, I think I increased my time, the time I devoted to around 6 to 7 hours a day, I think. Not every day, 6 to 7 hours, but like on 3 to 4 days a week, 6 to 7 hours at least.
Okay, and can you also tell me the breakup of the time that you spent on this? So, for example, if there were 6 to 7 hours or even 3 to 4 hours, like how much time were you devoting to verbal and how much time were you devoting to quant?
So I tried not to mix the two. I tried to do like if I one day I was doing quant, I did quant. If the next day I was doing verbal, I did verbal, because I didn't want to break the flow of either subject. So I'd say around 3 to 4 hours of quant at a time. I'm not saying you do it at a stretch, but at least in a day, 3 to 4 hours is good enough. And verbal, the same, 2 to 3 hours would be good enough.
Okay, but yes, I'm really amazed that you were able to spend that much time along with your college work and your submissions and internships and all that going on. So do you want to throw any light on how you managed to do it and how you mentally decided to go ahead with this challenge?
So fortunately, my undergrad had finished by the time I decided to give the GRE. So I didn't have any college load or anything, but I was doing an internship side by side. But that too was work from home, so it wasn't taking up too much of my time. And I think just the fact that I liked both the subjects, English as well as quant, even before I decided to give the GRE, helped me a lot in continuously studying for it and not getting exhausted. Let's say.
Okay, that's really good to know that you were consistently doing this. So yes, I also wanted to know that you mentioned a little earlier on that verbal is something that most of the students are scared of. So how do you overcome that challenge in the sense vocabulary specifically? Like because students they're like okay we can look at reading comprehensions, but vocabulary is something which we can never master. So can you share the secret? How did you master your vocabs?
So I think the only way to master vocab is to keep doing questions, and then like you suggested at the beginning of the session when I joined you that you should maintain a personal dictionary, which I did, and it has like around 40 pages and 20 words each, so around 800 words, which I've written myself. And I think this helped me a lot because every time I came across a word anywhere, whether it be in a question here or maybe reading something else anywhere else, I wrote the word and took the meaning down, and if possible, took the synonyms of it as well. So as the test day got closer, I was much better equipped to tackle vocab than I was when I started doing it.
Okay, and did you face any challenges in memorizing those words? No doubt you've written down everything, but how many words do you think it really requires for a student to ever be happy with their GRE vocabs? Students keep asking me all the time, "Ki, ma'am, how many words should I know? Is it just enough if I do the IMS GRE lexicon? Should I do something else? How many words do I need to know?" So, what do you think? What is your feedback on this after seeing the actual GRE paper?
I think vocabulary is like money. The more you have it, the more you want. So it's not never going to be enough. Like at the end of the day, you don't know what is going to come in the test. Maybe there are words in the test you have never done, despite maybe you've done 10,000 words, but those words you may not have done. So I think you just keep reading and hope that on the day of the test you get questions uh, which you've done before. That being said, I think there is a fix. Like there are some words at least which do always come in the GRE. So which is given in the lexicon. So doing those words would be a big help to you.
Okay. So Yash, I'm specifically going to ask you about verbal since we have Rajesh sir with us, who's an expert at quant. So just a few questions on your verbal strategies. I wanted to know, like, a lot of students get afraid of reading RCs as well, reading comprehensions. They are
Yeah.
like, it's such a lengthy passage, and how do you read it, and then how do you answer so fast? We just have 30 minutes, so how do I allocate my time? Should I do RC first? Should I do vocabs first in the exam? Can you tell us a strategy which will work in the exam, or what you did that worked for you to get you that lovely V162?
So I think uh, breaking the RC into smaller parts, like don't look at it as a big paragraph. You can obviously there are paragraphs in it, so you can break those into like you can break them the whole thing into mini paragraphs and write. If you don't write it, at least have a summary in your mind of 2-3 lines of what every paragraph is saying. So when you're answering the questions, you know which part of the whole RC the answer would be from. So you're not spending time trying to search for the answer at that time, and that saves you a lot of time. And I would say that I did RC before doing TC or SE because at least in RC you can uh, you know that the answer is there. You don't have to like keep thinking about it and then maybe it still doesn't come to you. And specifically for TC, the 3 blank questions, you may spend probably 5 minutes on a question and then still not get the answer. You may get 2 blanks correct and the third one is wrong. So there's really no point in spending so much time on it. Whereas RC and the other RC and SE and the 1 blank ones, there's a better chance of you getting the correct answer for that.
Okay, I know, yes, this is a very vague question that I'm going to come up with, but what do you think you must have scored in section one? And, what do you think you must have scored in section two? What do you think? I mean, just based on your analysis and the way you answered the paper that day, how much do you think you scored out of 20 in both the sections? I mean, you have a score of 162, which means you've definitely done, more than 30 questions correct out of 40. But what do you think, you must have got to get this wonderful score?
So honestly, after the second quant section, I had completely given up because it wasn't good. And then I was hoping that the fifth section is a verbal section because I just didn't want to do quant at that time. And then when the verbal section came up, I realized that since there are only 2 quant sections, those 2 quant sections will count in the score. And that just demoralized me even more. So I think my first section, I mean, whichever section was counted of verbal was better than the second one. So, but that being said, the second section also wasn't that difficult. And since GRE has a like adaptive difficulty, I think I must have done fairly evenly in both of the sections. So I think probably like a 16, 14 or something like that.
Okay, that's amazing to know. And of course, I want to ask you questions about, how you performed in the mocks as far as your verbal score is concerned. So, can you throw some light on, what was your experience with the IMS mock tests? Like, where did you start from and how did you progress from there? I remember you mentioned to me once that on the first mock test, IMS mock test, you had scored a 312. So, can you tell us your journey from the 312 to this 328?
I kept delaying the mocks because I thought might as well do all the questions first. And then when I give the mocks, I wanted to get a good score because I didn't want to get demoralized. But then I think that was a wrong strategy because giving the mocks gives you a basic idea of where you are like compared to the real exam because that is a mix of questions and you're not doing just one section or one type of questions continuously. It I think it challenges your brain to adapt to the different questions it throws at you. And yeah, I think the IMS mocks were quite helpful for me to get into the phase of solving mocks, because they weren't extremely difficult, I'd say, like above the level of the GRE, but they were difficult enough for me to realize that I needed to give more mocks. And specifically my stamina was sitting continuously for a mock. I realized that I needed to do that more, because at the day of the exam, I may know all the questions, but at the end of the 4 hours, I may be exhausted completely and not get the answers.
Okay, okay. Yes, a lot of students ask me this question all the time that, ma'am, it's really boring. Like, we study initially, we have that josh, and, we study for the initial 15, 20 days, but then after that, that fun of it is lost, and, they start getting lazy and they just, throw their books away. So did you go through that feeling that, you just got bored and you shoved everything out and then took a break, or, were you able to be consistent through and through?
I wouldn't say I was consistent through and through, but thankfully, as I mentioned, I liked both maths and English as well. Even before I decided to take the GRE, it wasn't that difficult of a task. If something like physics would have been there in the GRE, I would have lost interest very early, but that was not the case. And I think mixing up your study course with, like, just don't keep solving one kind of questions or one just don't keep solving verbal or quant. I think just a mix of both the things will keep you interested. And I think I had that thing in the back of my mind that I hadn't done so well in my undergrad, so I had to do well in the GRE. So that just kept me going.
Okay, lovely. Yash, how many questions did you practice roughly? I'm just talking about the verbal section. I know it's really hard for you to comment on that now, but if our students could just have a rough number, that, okay, if I do roughly these many questions, I can at least expect a 320 plus score, if not that 328, but at least a 320 plus score. So what do you think? How many questions should a student really solve? Like, how many RC should a student do? How many vocabulary-based questions should a student practice before the final exam?
So very difficult on that, but I think I'd say around 500 to 600 questions for verbal. And I think RC you can do a little less of, because once you get the hang of the comprehensions and everything, it doesn't matter what comes in the exam. I mean, you'll know what you're supposed to do. But for vocab and TCSE specifically, I think you need to solve a lot more questions, because the more words you come across and write and hopefully memorize, the better it is for you on the day of the exam.
Okay. Would you like to share any specific verbal strategy with our students, the ones who are aspiring to get that score? Any overall, any verbal strategy that if you do this, you can get there, or if you do this, you might get text completion, or if you do this, you might get sentence equivalence questions, right? Is there any specific strategy which you want to share, or any overall strategy which you want to give?
So the base is the same, that you do as many questions as you can. And luckily, I had you as my mentor. And the one thing that stuck with me and really helped me during the day of the exam was making educated guesses, especially in RC, because there are a lot of options which may seem the perfect fit, but they are not so, because they don't actually convey what the author wants to say. So I think educated guessing and eliminating options just based on a word, like extreme words should be omitted, you said. So that was something which helped me during the exam. That being said, as I said, you maintain your own dictionary for vocab, because when you write the words, you tend to remember them better rather than just reading it 10 times. And also, if you are not that good at memorizing the words, I think you should start using them in sentences. That will help a lot.
Great, that's a lovely piece of advice. Sorry?
Please I meant in daily life, you just use the words instead of the normal words that you use.
Right. Right. So that happens with me as well, right? So whenever I want to remember a word, I don't know, if I just say it and just look at it, I don't remember. I actually have to write it down and then, pronounce the word when I'm trying to remember the word, so that, the recall is there the next time I try to remember it. Excellent. Yes, now I would like to actually ask Rajesh sir to, ask you some important questions about the quant section. So Rajesh sir, if you can, just go ahead and ask him some important questions about it.
Definitely, definitely. Thank you, Sanyukta ma'am. It was such a wonderful discussion.
Thank you,
I'm
sir.
sure your questions and the replies from Yash will definitely help the students to ace the verbal section and the overall GRE as well.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. So we'll
Please go ahead.
now, yeah, thanks. We'll now move on to math. Yash, I've got a very curious question. You early in the discussion, you said that you wanted to pursue a data science program.
Yeah.
And if I understand correctly, you have done a BSc program from NMIMS,
Yeah.
correct? So, coming from a non-science or a non-engineering background, when you took the decision of taking the GRE, did you have any kind of fear with regards to math?
Not really, because even in my 10 plus 2, I had maths, like a lot of it, not just basic maths. And even in my undergrad, since I was doing economics, there was a lot of maths and statistics involved. So quant was not something I was very worried about when I decided to take the GRE.
Okay, but you think did you actually have good grades in your school and college, and possibly that was the reason you didn't have that much of fear or something?
So I wouldn't say I had good grades, but I had decent grades, and I was capable enough to handle the quant and GRE because I had done much more advanced maths, specifically in my 11th and 12th,
Yeah.
and undergrad as well. And I'd like to put a point across here that the the quant that is there in the GRE is not related to what we do in your 11th and 12th. So it's not that if you have not taken maths in your 11th and 12th that you can't do the quant that is there in the GRE.
I'm sure this point is going to help a lot of students who feel that if you have studied math in 11th and 12th, then that will help you ace the quant section. Thanks, Yash, for clarifying that. Now, my next question is, how did you approach the subject? How did you actually prepare for the quant section?
So, sir, I knew that the quant would not take as much effort as the verbal, but I didn't want to let go of it because I knew that a good quant score would probably make up for a lesser score in the verbal section. So I was aiming for a 117 quant. Unfortunately, I didn't get it. I mean, I don't want to I don't want to sound disappointed right now,
Okay.
but yeah. So I think just in the first probably 15-20 days, you realize what areas of the quant you're weak in. Like I realized that I was weak in geometry. So you focus on the area that you're weak in and build on that. And obviously the area that you're strong, you just keep solving questions and familiarize yourself with the pattern of the GRE quant.
Okay. While you were attending classes, did you actually read up the pre-class before attending the classes or anything of that sort?
Yeah, so I made it a point that I read the pre-class before whatever topic we were doing. That helped me quite a lot because all the concepts that are used in the
In-class session.
in-class session are there in the
Yeah.
are there in the pre-class. So you have a basic idea of what is going to be done in class and you're familiar with what is going to be taught.
Correct. I also recall that you were very interactive during the sessions, and
Yeah.
you would always voice out your doubts, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. What would you do in case you would get stuck with any question after these sessions?
So, sir, firstly, I'd like to put it across that you should, when you're learning something specifically for the GRE, the quant may seem quite easy, and if you have done specifically, if you've done maths in your 11th and 12th, you may think that okay, this is nothing, and I'll get past this. But you should always ask your doubts and clarify them at the moment, because if you keep a backlog, it'll just keep adding up, and then you'll forget about it, or maybe it'll become so big that you may not be able to clear it just before the exam. So I think clearing your doubts as and when they come up is a very vital part of acing the quant section. And fortunately, I had a quite a good rapport with you, sir. So I didn't have
Thanks.
any, you know, like problems in approaching you with my doubts. Uh, Also, whenever I got stuck with a question after the class, I always made it a point to go back to the pre-class to look at the concepts that were there. And if I still didn't understand it from that, you were always a call away, and that helped me a lot because whatever time of the day it was, I just texted you the questions, and you made it a point to reply as soon as you could. So just clearing your doubts as and when they come is a big part of getting a good score in the quant sections.
Okay. And a lot of students are allergic to topics like permutation, combination, and probability. What? How did you deal with these topics?
So fortunately, probability was my favorite topic in maths in 12th, and I really liked it because it was quite logical and it didn't really involve a lot of formulae and memorizing all the formulae and then applying them. So probability was not that big of a problem for me. But yeah, I realized that permutation and combination for a lot of students is something is of a gray kind of a gray area because it can be quite confusing at times. But I think the trick to that is trying to understand what this question is saying. If you don't want to think about it in English, try to convert it to Hindi and think about it in your native language. Try to think about that in your mind and try and understand what it is saying. And like the tips that sir gives are very important to every, like especially permutation and combination, because there are a lot of trick questions in that section. So you should listen to all the tips that sir gives and apply them.
Yash, I recall one of our discussions over the chat around 20th of November. You mentioned that your test was on 28th November, Saturday, right?
Yeah.
And in that last phase of your preparation, or I think you were taking a few mocks, and surprisingly, your quant score was in the downfall. I remember in the first 3 mocks, your quant score was dropping down. So was it a botheration, and how did you deal with that stress, considering you had only just 7 days to go and scores are falling down? Yeah.
So sir, to be honest, I was not that bothered about my quant score at the time because I was happy that my verbal score was at least staying put or going up. And I knew that those mistakes were not something of a conceptual one, but more of a, like a silly mistake because I was at home and relaxed and just giving the mock. And I think the first 3 or 4 mocks I didn't even give at one go. And so it was not that, and once you go to the test center and the day of the exam, I think the whole surroundings and everything just make you focus more. And many of the silly mistakes that you normally make are omitted that way. So I was not really bothered about my quant score falling. Uh, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I remember the discussion because we were very sure that you had really prepared well and you were really good at quants. It was just a matter of some silly mistakes.
Yeah.
And as one of our participants, Tanaya, pointed out, uh, composure or the very composed state of mind will matter a lot while you're taking the test. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Anything specific that you did during the last phase of your preparation with regards to quant? Or rather, I would rephrase it. Once you had finished attending the classes, what did you do to enhance your quant skills?
So once you know where you're lagging behind, like I said, I was not so good in geometry. I think you can work on those sections by just doing as many questions as you can from the IMS materials that they give that you give. Specifically, doing the post class is very helpful because it has a different kind. It has different kinds of questions compared to the in class and the pre class. So you work on the areas in which you're not that good, and obviously the areas that you're good, you just keep improving and keep solving questions so that there's nothing left behind for the exam.
Yeah, and one last piece of advice to students who are scared of math or who feel they're not confident enough to deal with math.
Uh, so I suppose many fears arise out of what we have been taught in school for math specifically if you have it in your 11th and 12th and you have a lot of calculus and integration and differentiation and all that. But I'd just like to reassure you that GRE doesn't have any of those hosts, if I may say. So yeah, so it's not that it's difficult to get a good score in quant, but I think just practicing well and covering everything would be good enough.
Yeah, thank you, Yash, for such honest and genuine inputs. I'm sure this is going to help all these students alike. Over to you, Sayukta, ma'am.
Yes, I'm so sorry. I forgot to ask you a very important question, and that was about the AWA section. So, can
Yes.
you also tell our students, what they should really do on this AWA section to get the kind of score that you did?
Okay, so I kept delaying AWA because I thought I was good at writing, and because even in school we had the creative writing stuff and all, so I thought I'll get over that. But then when I started doing it, I realized that it's not that easy, and what they expect you to write and get like a 5 or 6 out of 6. I mean, 6 out of 6 is quite rare, but yeah. So just keep. I think just practice in that and sending over your writing to your mentor and getting feedback from them is the best thing you can do. And also go through the samples that are there in the ETS guide for the analytical writing part, because that helps you get a kind of an idea of what responses they expect for like a 4.5 or a 5 out of 6.
Okay, that's great. Yash, can you tell me if, what were the materials that you finally used, I mean, for the entire process? So can I reframe this and ask you, were the IMS materials, sufficient for you to get this kind of score, or did you have to do anything else?
I think definitely the IMS materials are cover 90% of what comes into the GRE, and specifically if you solve the post class, I think that's good enough for getting around a 320 score. But if you want to go a step ahead, obviously there are other materials around. Like I finished my post class in somewhere in October, so I had a lot of time to do other stuff. Maybe you can talk to your mentor and find out which is the best thing to do after finishing the IMS materials. But I'd say first do the IMS materials, specifically the pre-class, understand the concept, then do the in-class with during the batch, and then the post-class. And also the ETS guide that IMS sends along with their books is quite good in itself. Um, and yeah, the mocks are also good. So you should try solving at least 8 to 9 mocks before the actual exam, and at least for 3, 4 of them, try to sit at a length for it. Don't take a break.
Right. So yes, there's a very important question which I would like to ask you, which I keep listening to from my students all the time. They're stuck at a 305, they're stuck at a 310, they're stuck at a 311. Any advice for them, how to get up to that score of 328 or 320? Let me even say a 320 plus. So any advice how to move from 300 to 320?
I would say just just don't think about the exam day. Don't think of it as a like a destination. I mean, it is a destination, but don't think that okay, I'm preparing for the exam, so I have to uh, just don't think keep the exam in the mind. Just do your thing every day, solve questions, and maybe 4 or 5 hours a day. Just keep working on it. I think in most cases, 90% of the cases you'll get there. Like unfortunately, if on the day of the exam you don't do that well, then nothing can be done. But I guess just working consistently and solving as many questions as you can for both quant and verbal will get you there.
Great. So Yash, how was your online class experience in the pandemic with IMS? I mean, considering the scenario in which you actually took up this course, how was your online experience with us?
I was quite apprehensive about taking the online course because I knew I'd be at home and I'd be very lazy because obviously there's no environment to study in. But I think I was lucky that I had both of you, and the interface and the way the things were taught, and in general the PPT etc. were quite good because they were quite engaging, and uh, yeah, I mean there were no network issues obviously. So yeah, I think it was quite a good experience, and it helped me focus on what I wanted to do.
Okay. So Yash, before we throw open this platform to our dear students to ask their questions, okay, so can we ask you a final question? How would you like to rate IMS's services in terms of, their training and their materials and feedback and service and everything? So how would you like to rate us? Let's say out of 10, what kind of a rating would you like to give us?
I think a 9 would be good enough because I don't believe in perfection of any kind. I don't think anybody is perfect or any institute is perfect. So I won't give it 10, but I think a 9 would be appropriate.